For 12 years, I scrubbed the floors of Halverson Tower before sunrise. I knew exactly how Frederick Halverson liked his office. Chairs at precise angles, blinds framing Manhattan just so, coffee table spotless. The man worshipped control, power, the illusion of perfection. He had no idea I owned 62% of his company. My name is Daniel Reyes. Inside Halverson Global, I was Danny the janitor, the silent guy in a gray jumpsuit and faded Yankees cap, mopping up spills while billion-dollar secrets floated over espresso. But back in 2011, I wore a tailored suit. Frederick and I had founded Halverson Global straight out of Columbia Business School. I handled analytics. He charmed investors. Behind that smile, though, was a snake. When the Eurozone crisis hit and our valuation tanked, Frederick acted fast. Too fast. While I was in Barcelona at my father's funeral, he staged an emergency restructuring vote. My absence? No accident. I returned branded unstable, unfit. Legal documents appeared, supposedly signed by me, stripping key rights. I had no proof. I was erased. The industry ignored me. Accounts drained. Lawsuits piled up. So I changed the game. I sold my last 3% and built a web of LLCs and trusts, each under a different name. Quietly, I bought Halverson stock whenever Frederick overextended himself. But I needed eyes inside. I needed to hear the lies, feel the pulse. So I applied as a janitor under a new name. Frederick never blinked. Now, as he prepares the merger that could make or break his empire, I wait just outside the boardroom. The man who once buried me doesn't recognize the janitor before him. I am invisible. For 12 years, I learned everything: discarded memos, late-night calls, reckless expansions, micromanagement, alienated talent. Frederick's empire was fragile, stretched thin. One night, emptying the executive trash, I found a draft acquisition proposal from Zenith Tech Capital, $4 billion. I smiled. The trap was set. Zenith didn't know I'd been the silent hand guiding them all along. Every misstep Frederick made only sweetened the deal. He strutted through the halls, bragging to junior execs about his visionary leadership. He had no idea the janitor he ignored was about to pull the strings. "This merger will define the next decade," Frederick boomed in the break room one morning. "Halverson Global will finally get the recognition it deserves." I mopped the tile nearby, unseen, unnoticed. Just how I liked it. By Wednesday, the news hit. Stock soared. Frederick was hailed as a genius. Anchors praised his resilience through past market crashes. Magazines plastered his face across covers. He was the man of the hour. All that remained was the final vote, the signature that would make or break him. Frederick was confident. His allies held enough shares to push the merger through, or so he thought. Then my trap, 12 years in the making, snapped. One shell company voted against the terms. Then another. And another. His legal team scrambled, chasing phantom entities registered under different names across jurisdictions. The trail was endless by design. From the janitor's closet, I listened as panic spread. Frederick's pristine office became a battlefield. Papers scattered, blinds half open, 3 abandoned coffee cups on his desk. The man who measured power by appearances was unraveling. Late one night, vacuuming the boardroom hallway, I heard him yelling into the phone. "How can you not trace them? I need names. Who's torpedoing this deal?" He paused, muttering something that confirmed everything I needed to know. If this merger failed, creditors would come down hard. The empire he'd built on illusion was cracking. That evening, as I emptied his trash one last time, I glanced at his wall of accolades, magazine covers, faux awards. Frederick Halverson, the architect of tomorrow. The irony nearly made me laugh. Tomorrow, the ghost he buried 12 years ago would take a seat at the table. I straightened his desk, dusted the windows, aligned the awards, and left quietly. The next morning, I didn't report to maintenance. I unlocked a wardrobe untouched for years. Inside hung a charcoal gray suit, precise, minimal, timeless. I shaved the beard, combed back my hair, stood tall. Daniel Reyes, co-founder and controlling shareholder of Halverson Global, had returned. At 9:45, I walked through the polished glass doors of Halverson Tower, the same doors I'd cleaned for over a decade. The receptionist blinked. Jim, the security guard, gave a second glance, recognition flickering, but said nothing. I stepped into the executive elevator, not as staff, but as the man they never saw coming. The elevator ascended. My reflection smiled back. It was time. In the boardroom, Frederick's assistant Emily arranged bottled waters. "Excuse me, sir," she said firmly, not recognizing the janitor who'd emptied her trash for years. "This meeting is restricted to shareholders and senior executives." I smiled. One of the largest shareholders doesn't get turned away. The room filled with Zenith tech executives, Halverson Global's board, legal counsel, and a few select press. Everyone dressed to impress, assuming this was ceremonial. Frederick strode in at 9:55, perfectly timed, smug charm in place. His steps faltered when he saw me sitting at the head of the table, his seat. Confusion flashed, then a rehearsed grin. "I don't believe we've met," he said smoothly, extending his hand. "Frederick Halverson," I said, rising, meeting his gaze. "Actually, Fred, we have." He froze. Recognition flickered. Past and present collided. "Daniel," he murmured, barely audible. "Hello, Fred."
Been a while.
The room fell silent. His legal team froze. Zenith executives whispered. Frederick's voice tightened. "What are you doing here?" I pulled a folder from my briefcase and laid it on the table. "I'm here to vote on the merger. Or rather, my firms are Reyes Capital, Pargrin Holdings, Ironbridge Ventures." Color drained from his face. "That's not possible. You sold out." "I made sure you sold your stake." I cut him off, but not my power. I spent 12 years quietly, carefully buying my way back in. His legal counsel scrambled, eyes darting over files, fingers tapping on calculators. I said clearly, 62%. "That's how much of Halverson Global I control now. This merger doesn't happen unless I say so." The Zenith executive finally spoke. "Mr. Halverson, what's going on here?" I said, turning to the room. "Let me take you back." Halverson Global began with 2 partners, 1 vision, and 1 betrayal during the 2011 market collapse. For the next 20 minutes, I laid it all bare. Forged documents, stolen votes, lies meant to smear me. I didn't raise my voice. Power doesn't need volume. It only needs timing. I walked them through the emergency board vote that happened while I buried my father, the forged signatures, the fabricated accusations. Then came the testimonies. Former board members, some retired, some bitter, finally admitted their roles in Frederick's betrayal. "So," I said, voice calm, "Frederick Halverson isn't the visionary CEO he claims to be. He didn't build this company alone. He stole it. And he's been burning it down ever since." "That's a lie. I saved this company. Everything it is today is because of me," he snapped. I tilted my head. "Is that why you're desperate to push this merger through? Because Halverson Global is thriving? Or because the loans you've used to fund reckless expansions are coming due and the accounts can't cover them?" Whispers rippled through the Zenitech delegation. Their lead counsel stood. "We need to pause this proceeding immediately. If Mr. Halverson's authority or the financial records are in question." "Oh, the merger can proceed," I said smoothly, "just not on Frederick's terms. And certainly not with him as CEO." He lunged. The polished mask shattered in an instant. 2 security guards restrained him, the same men he once screamed at over spilled coffee and smudged floors. "You can't do this. This is my company," he bellowed. "No, Fred," I said, cold and steady. "It never was. And now everyone finally knows it." Hours of chaos followed. Zenith's lawyers pored over financials. The board, sensing the shift, quietly disassociated from Frederick. Executives loyal to him suddenly remembered urgent meetings elsewhere. By evening, an emergency board vote removed Frederick Halverson as CEO, and I, Daniel Reyes, was appointed interim CEO of the company I once cleaned before sunrise. Before leaving the conference room, I shared one final truth. For the past 12 years, I've worked in this building as a janitor. I've cleaned your offices, listened to your meetings, observed everything. I know who's been coasting. I know who's loyal. And I know how to rebuild what Frederick destroyed. Silence. Later that night, the building nearly empty, I returned to the janitor's closet for one final time. I changed into my old uniform, walking the familiar halls, not to clean, but to say goodbye to the man no one ever saw coming. Jose, the night janitor who shared 1,000 silent shifts with me, stared. "Wait, you're really the new CEO?" "I am," I said. "And my first act is raising wages for every maintenance and support staff member in this building. This company runs because of you, even if executives never noticed." I finished my final shift not in the closet, but in the corner office that now bore my name, the same office I'd polished for 12 years. I adjusted the desk to perfect angles, not for Frederick, but because some routines stick. Movement caught my eye. Frederick stood in the hallway, flanked by security, a cardboard box in his arms. His suit rumpled, expression bitter. He paused, eyes scanning my janitor uniform. 12 years, he muttered. "You cleaned floors for 12 years, just for revenge." I stood tall, finally eye to eye. "No, Fred. I spent 12 years learning every inch of the company you thought you stole. The cleaning? That was honest work, something you never understood." He didn't respond. He turned and walked away, his confident footsteps fading forever. The next morning, I wore my tailored charcoal suit, but I made sure every employee knew my door was open, from interns to custodians. I had been invisible once. No one else would be. Some board members suggested hiring a private cleaning service. I declined. Every morning, I still wipe my desk myself, not because I have to, but because it grounds me. Leadership isn't about corner offices or titles. It's about respect. Frederick now works across town at a third-rate consulting firm, telling stories no one believes. I am exactly where I belong, leading the company I helped build, watching it thrive, this time with heart. And every morning, when I align the edges of my desk just right, I smile. Sometimes the most powerful person in the room is the one you never noticed at all.